Welcome to our teacher orientation for Choice. And first we will talk a little bit about our organization, and then we'll take some time to introduce ourselves and let you all introduce yourselves as well. So I'll start out with, hopefully you all had heard of us before you joined this project. But our organization is Virginia Edge Strategies. We were formerly Virginia Advanced Study Strategies. And our background is that we are a 501c3 organization. We were formed in 2007, so we've been around for about 14 years. And to this day, we have raised over $45 million in private and federal funding, and all of that has been used to support and provide training and resources for Virginia schools. And our mission is pretty broad. We basically partner with K-12 and community stakeholders and basically develop and implement innovative solutions that lead to prepared students. So we're really interested in anything that we can do to help our partners across the state ensure that students leave high school ready for the next steps. We do have a very small team to be doing all the great work that we do, but our team is very mighty. And I will ask them to introduce themselves after I do. So I'll go ahead and introduce myself now. My name is Jennifer Stevens, and I am the president and CEO for Virginia Edge Strategies. I've been with the organization since its inception 14 years ago, and was on the team that was able to secure the $13.2 million grant that started the organization back then. And I am also a former teacher. I taught in Halifax County for over 10 years, and I lived there most of my life. And that kind of brings me to talking a little bit about the challenges of this past year, but also some of the great things that have happened because of the pandemic, because I really like to think about some of the positives. So of course, I think all of us can acknowledge that COVID has brought a great deal of challenges for us personally and professionally. And I know that it's continuing to cause lots of issues for all of you as you have gone back to school and start teaching. But it also brought some real positive things for our organization and for some of us personally. And I think it's great for us to acknowledge those as well. So the challenge for me, of course, was that I had already worked at home and have been working remotely for quite some time. And my husband started working remotely in March of 2020 as well. And at first it was kind of crowded in my office, and but it was nice to have him at home. But of course our kids were home too, and that was a real challenge. And I was also renovating our house and getting it ready to sell. So it was a real challenge being at home and working from home during the height of the pandemic. But it also created an opportunity for our family. My husband, because he started working from home, when things started slowing down and people started going back into the companies, my husband's company decided that he did not need to come back in. The folks that work in his department were allowed to stay fully remote. And so we started looking at each other and started thinking about our plans for retirement, which were to move to the beach. And we decided we didn't need to wait until retirement. We could go ahead and move right away. And so about 3 months ago, we picked up our family and moved to Virginia Beach. And we now live about a block over from the bay in Chicks Beach. And we are loving our new beach life and loving the opportunities that it's brought to us and our family. And I'll mention that I have 5 sons ranging in age from 24 to 8. So I do have 2 that are still in school, and we've been really excited about all the opportunities that moving over to Virginia Beach Public Schools has provided for them. So some great positives that have come out of the pandemic. So I'm now going to turn it over and ask my staff to introduce themselves.
Good morning, y'all. This is my name is Sandy Wilburn. I am the Director of Operations and Programs. I have been in education since 2006. I started as a math teacher in Halifax County. At the middle school, I taught pre-algebra and algebra 1, and then I went to the high school and taught algebra 2 and pre-calculus. I left the school system in 2013 and joined Virginia Ed Strategies, where I have just loved being exposed to so many different things that I never knew about, that are going on around the state and nation as far as education. Um, and when I was teaching, it was like I was just in this little bubble. So I've learned so much, and so excited to be part of this organization with a fine group of ladies that make my job so much fun and so wonderful to work with. So I am married and I have two daughters. They are now 18 and 20. And I would say that the challenge and success from COVID for me would be that, like Jennifer, I've been working from home for quite a while now. And we always used GoToMeeting for our webinars or things of that sort, meetings. But with COVID, I was exposed to lots more platforms, and so have built my skills and learn new tricks and things of that sort. So now I'm a lot more familiar with Zoom. We use that all the time. So I've gotten pretty good with that, and Canvas and lots of other things. So it's been a plus. And then my daughters also, one was in college when COVID hit, and the other was in high school. So they learned many skills that they wouldn't have learned also. So it was nice to have the opportunity to learn things that in a rural area we may not have been exposed to had it not been COVID. So thank you again for joining, and I'll turn it over to Darla.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Darla Edwards, Director of Partnerships and Business Engagement. I have over 25 years of experience in education as a teacher, principal, and I also served on the Virginia Board of Education. Currently, I live in Williamsburg. I have 5 children with my husband. We have a blended family of 5 children and 7 grandchildren. The challenge of the pandemic, as Jennifer mentioned, we're a very small but mighty team. And, I was so excited when we always had our team meetings in person and our retreats. Well, when all of that stopped, it just got really hard. And I never realized how much I appreciated and cherished those times that we did have together face to face as a team until we no longer had them. But the benefit of the pandemic was that it gave our organization the opportunity to just make many more partnerships, many that you'll hear about a little later on in the presentation. But some partnerships include Virginia's Work-Based Learning Collaboration Group. We're now partners with them, as well as Virginia Association of School Superintendents, many more, but those specifically were the result of the pandemic. So that was a blessing that our organization was able to connect with more other organizations. Once again, I just want to thank all of you for being here and carving time out on this beautiful Saturday. You could have easily been doing anything else, but thank you for taking time out of your schedule. We appreciate your dedication, and we look forward to partnering with you.
My name is Amanda Adams. I'm the Director of Planning, Policy, and Innovation for Virginia Ed Strategies, and I've been with the organization for about 3 years. I have been in education for just over a decade, so I worked in Pennsylvania County as a college advisor for 2 high schools there. I was a testing coordinator for Bedford County and ran a economic nonprofit while I was there with Bedford County. And then before Virginia Ed Strategies, I actually worked as an instructional specialist for Fairfax County. And so I currently live in Front Royal with my husband and our 1-year-old. And when I think back at COVID, I think the 2 things that will always resonate with me in terms of challenges is, first, we bought our very first house and we closed on it a week before the country shut down. So we had a lot of plans, and we were going to order a lot of stuff that now is taking months and years even to be able to acquire. So that has been challenging, but I was also 5 months pregnant. And my pregnancy ended up looking very different than I had imagined. At the same time, I'm married to a man who teaches for Prince William County, and he did not have to return to the classroom until March of this year. And so we actually got to spend the first 7 months of our son's life at home with him, bonding and playing and taking him to class basically on Zoom and getting to introduce him to his students and really get him initiated with world history and all that good stuff now. So I think he'll be ready for AP by the time he gets there if he keeps going with Dad to class virtually. But I'm so glad to have you all here. I'm really excited to tell you all about the Choice program, and we just appreciate you joining us this morning, and thanks for hanging in there through the all the background noise. Sorry about that.
My name is Alicia Belcher, and I am the instructional specialist and the Choice Lead Instructional Coach. I live in St. Paul, Virginia with my husband and 3 sons and 2 dogs. I have a PhD in education with specialization in curriculum and instruction. So we live in a tiny little one stoplight town. I guess the biggest thing about me is I love the great outdoors. So anytime I can find a way to go outside and adventure and get my kids disconnected from those tablets and out in the world, I try to take those opportunities. At the beginning of the pandemic, I was teaching at Dickinson County Schools, so that's in Southwest Virginia, teaching high school math, and probably had a lot of the same problems that some of you may have had with sometimes students didn't have good internet at home, but at the beginning we were just sending home those packets and it was just really difficult. Most of the students either didn't do them or they would halfway do them, and then some of them wouldn't even return the packet. So I really worried about them in terms of how to engage them and how to get them still learning, during the difficult time that was going on. So a good thing is I learned a lot about different technologies and tools that you could use in the classroom or in the virtual classroom to get students engaged and motivated. And so I finished that year up during the pandemic, and then that August I actually moved to being a digital teacher for Arizona State University and continued learning more about different tools and technologies. And I feel like that led me to my job here. So lots of positives, but it was a difficult time, I know, for everyone, but I think educators really rose to the challenge and showed, what we were made of. So
I want to just share a little bit about how we have gotten to where we are. And I mentioned earlier about the fact that we were a nonprofit and that we have been working across Virginia for quite some time. And one of the things that we've been doing for the past several years is basically running educational research projects for the U.S. Department of Education through grants. And so we had the opportunity to apply for an education, innovation, and research grant this past fall, back in September. And it was a very competitive competition. We competed against universities, nonprofits, school divisions all across the nation to be awarded funding to basically develop and implement a new practice that's innovative and is able to basically meet the needs of our high need students across Virginia. And so we applied back in the fall and we were awarded. We were one of 7 awarded nationwide for the teacher-directed professional development priority. And you'll be hearing a little bit more about what we mean by that. But we're really excited that this is such a great opportunity for us. Again, it was a very competitive competition that we had, and to have been one of 7 awarded nationwide for this project is pretty exciting. So I hope you all are excited to be a part of it. So I'll turn it over to Amanda.
Thank you. So let's talk about why you all are here, and that is Choice. So one thing that it's important to note is that Choice is actually a professional learning community, and it has a lot of components under it that we're going to talk about here in a few minutes. But it encompasses not just you all, the teachers, but you're going to learn that it will encompass instructional coaches and administrators and all of those different pieces, and all of you all together makes up the professional learning community that is Choice. All right, so Choice was, as Jennifer said, funded by a USAID EIR grant, and it's about $11 million that we're going to be using over the next 5 years. It actually started in January of this year and will continue through December of 2025. Our goal is to serve 2,100 teachers, high school teachers that teach math, science, computer science, and CTE, and they will be broken up into different cohorts. over the course of the grant. And then, of course, the big key aspect and takeaway of Choice is that it is 100% teacher-directed professional learning, which means that everything that you're going to get to select to do within the program, every piece that you're going to choose and engage with is all going to be completely up to you. It's going to be your choice. So Choice goals. Of course, the first one is that we want to produce a group of teachers that are highly effective and be able to show through Choice and through teachers having the choice of selecting their own professional learning and doing it during their own schedule, the teachers actually benefit and grow better than having to do employer-directed professional learning. And we also are hoping to show that there is positive impact from that self-selected professional learning when it comes to students. And we're not just talking about self-assessments assessments, scores and that kind of thing, but we're also talking about how it looks with the performance standards, such as having a safe classroom environment or being culturally responsive. These are all things that you can opt to do professional learning in, and they're all things that we're hoping to show are impactful positively in the classroom. And then our third goal with our program is to see it expand. Right now, as you know, we're trying to serve 2,100 teachers. We have a focus on rural, but of course we have urban teachers that are participating in the program as well. And hopefully, if this goes well over the next 5 years and you guys absolutely love Choice, then we would be able to expand it so that we can serve teachers all across Virginia and then maybe even teachers outside of Virginia. So we're starting here with you. So welcome to history. And we are just excited to grow and expand and see where this goes and where it takes us. So one of the key aspects of Choice is our partners. A lot of times when you are applying for a grant, you need a list of names to kind of tack along to it that say like, hey, you know, we like this organization, we like what they're doing, we'll think they'll be great. But that's not the case with Choice. In our instance, we have all of these partners that you see here on the screen, and they are all in the trenches with us. They are part of our Choice Advisory Leadership Team. They meet with us monthly. They're helping our recruitment efforts. They're doing outreach for us. They're engaging with leadership all across the state for us to just champion the work that we're doing and let everyone know that this amazing opportunity is here. And we are just so grateful to have all of these partners just working alongside us. So this is a quick overview of what Choice looks like, and we're going to really dig into the details as we go along. But what you'll be able to see here is that we have the overarching professional learning community, and then we have 3 cohorts that fall under that. And under each of those cohorts are multiple communities of practice, and they serve different groups within the professional learning community. And we'll talk about each of those as we go along. So we're going to dive into these components of Choice in a little bit more detail, all the ones that you see here on your screen. And I am going to turn it over to Alicia so that we can launch into it. And she's going to tell you what to do if you have questions along the way.
Okay, so speaking of instructional coaches, each Choice teacher is going to be assigned one instructional coach. We will also be pairing teachers and coaches in the coming weeks. So we haven't got that finalized yet, but in the coming weeks, we'll be finalizing that. And then your coach will be reaching out to you through email to introduce themselves and give you some updates. In addition to having an instructional coach, Choice teachers are going to be placed in a teacher's community of practice, and that's going to be facilitated through Canvas. And in your teacher's community of practice, you're going to be with your coach and their teacher group, which is about 15 teachers, and then also with a second instructional coach and their group of about 15 teachers. So you'll be in there with 2 coaches and 30 teachers. To talk a little bit about the role of Choice instructional coaches, they are there to guide you through the self-assessment process and to also provide some guidance to you when you're going in and looking at that Choice dashboard and choosing professional learning opportunities that are aligned with your self-assessment and things like that. They also are going to work with you to find ways to implement those new skills that you've got from professional learning into your classrooms. So they're there just really to be a guide and a mentor to help you along the way. Several times throughout the project, you're going to be meeting with your instructional coach, and all of those meetings are going to be virtual. So you'll have some one-on-one meetings. There'll be 2 of those. The first one's going to be in late September, early October. And at that meeting, you'll be working with your coach to set your professional learning goal for the year. And then in May and June, you'll meet with them again one-on-one to review your professional learning goal and to look at accomplishments and reflect on what you've accomplished throughout the year. You'll also have 4 of those teachers' community of practice meetings I had mentioned earlier. And one of those will be held each quarter. There'll also be small group meetings. So instructional coaches are going to offer these small group meetings several times throughout the year. And those small group meeting windows are going to be open for an hour. So in the second quarter, there's going to be 2 of those, and those are optional for quarter 2. And those small group meeting windows are just for teachers who might need more assistance in selecting their professional learning opportunities. So in the third quarter, there's going to be 3 small group windows that coaches will offer. And the goal of those would be to look at implementation plans. So during that third quarter, teachers have to attend at least one of those small group meetings just to discuss their implementation plans with their coach. In the fourth quarter, there'll be 2 small group meeting windows, and those will be in a roundtable discussion format. So teachers will need to pick one of those to attend, and the purpose of those is just to reflect on your professional learning outcomes. Coaches are also going to provide a lot of ongoing support throughout the year in several different ways. They're going to have coach office hours, and those are optional, but they're there for you all if you need help, if you have difficulty participating in professional learning, selecting professional learning, working on those implementation plans. So those coach office hours are really just there to help you with anything you may be struggling with. And then also your coach is going to check in with you via email every 6 weeks just to give you project updates and give you action items and things like that. And then finally, coaches are going to engage with you in your community of practice by posting and facilitating and you know, getting into some conversations with you all in these online discussion forums. All right, so as we talked a little bit in the previous slides, you're going to be placed in that virtual community of practice with that group of 30 teachers and those 2 instructional coaches. And the purpose of that community of practice is to allow you to connect and build and collaborate with your peers. So within that community of practice, you're going to have the support of those 2 instructional coaches, and you're also going to be able to get some really good peer-to-peer collaboration with teachers across the state in that 30 teacher group. So within that community of practice, you're going to collaborate to share resources, engage in those coaching and mentoring activities, and participate in those rich online discussions. In that community of practice, you're also going to be building your capacity by working with your instructional coaches to ensure that professional learning strategies are implemented into classrooms in such a way that it translates into positive student outcomes. So again, we talked briefly about teachers are going to participate in those 4 community of practice meetings that are held each quarter. So the first one's going to be in late September, early October, and that focus is going to be on introductions, team building, and then also looking at that self-assessment. The second quarter meeting is going to be working on selecting those professional learning opportunities. In the third quarter, the focus is going to be on implementation strategies. And then the fourth quarter, the focus will be on analyzing and reflecting on student outcomes for the year.
All right. So self-assessment is one of the key cornerstones of our CHOICE project. And that's largely because we've been working with our partners to design a custom self-assessment that's very specific to CHOICE and then is aligned to the 8 standards of professional practice for Virginia teachers. So in case you aren't, don't have all 8 of those in your mind this morning, they are professional knowledge, instructional planning, instructional delivery, assessment of and for student learning, learning environment, culturally responsive teaching and equitable practices, professionalism, and student academic progress. And these were newly launched and officially voted on in March. So they, I believe there were 6 and now there are 8. So the assessment is actually going to be broken into mini assessments, and like mini as in small, not tons and tons of assessments. We're not trying to come at you with a lot but we wanted to do a assessment for each separate performance standard so that when you go in to take the assessment, it doesn't feel overwhelming because you're answering questions about 8 different topics. So they're broken out so that you can take them and self-pace yourself as you take them and get results specific to each performance standard. You will use your results to hopefully influence the selection of professional learning opportunities that you pick. And we hope that you will feel as you go through the year, and especially if you stay with us, we'll talk about that a little bit later, but if you continue with us into cohort 1, you would take those assessments again, and we're hoping to see projected growth on that. So as you collect professional learning opportunities to address those performance standards and see improvement as you go. Because really the whole idea behind Choice is empowering you as teachers and helping you achieve your professional goals and helping you to move forward in a way that's valuable and important to you. And you will get to actually take those self-assessment results into your first one-on-one meeting with your instructional coach and be able to share them and use them to write your professional learning goals, which we are going to talk about next.
All right, thank you. So again, you will set a professional learning goal, and you will do this after you complete your self-assessment. And this professional learning goal will be based on your self-assessment, the results that you get, as well as how you want to grow professionally and the 8 standards of professional practice. This has nothing to do with what your administrator thinks you should do, and you will not be evaluated on it. Your coach will help you with this. So during the training, you will be dashboard training. You'll see how the professional learning goal will be laid out, how to help you ease into getting that set for you. And professional learning goals are important because, one, they allow you to determine your long-term goals and to begin to take action in reaching those goals. And they also, number 2, help you strengthen your skills. It allows you to get better and to grow in new and different ways. And some examples may be something that has to do with, develop a growth mindset for yourself and for your students, or to learn to effectively give and receive feedback, strengthen technology skills, engage in different ways to reach all students, trauma-informed training. So there are lots of different options or different areas of focus, but it will depend on what your self-assessment results show, how you want to grow professionally, and those 8 standards of professional practice. We do encourage you, as you see, based on what several of you put on here, that you kind of get overwhelmed, you forget about it, or you don't take the time to work on it or focus on it throughout the year. We do encourage you to take the larger goal and break it into smaller tasks, just to kind of keep you on task and to help you to review your progress regularly, just to kind of keep you there and keep it in the forefront of your mind. So again, this will be your overarching focus throughout the year, and that goal will help direct you into choosing your professional learning and to guide you throughout the year.
We are going to talk about the Choice dashboard. And when we initially started discussing the Choice dashboard, the idea was it would be a menu of options in terms of professional learning that teachers could choose from. And then as we started kind of building it out and really developing all of the pieces and components of the program, we realized that the Choice dashboard is much more than just where teachers will be able to see what professional learning opportunities are available to them. So on your screen is the example of what is you're going to kind of see within the Choice dashboard. And the Choice dashboard is built on and housed within the Canvas platform. So those of you that are familiar with Canvas, this type of screen probably doesn't look new to you, and those of you that aren't, don't feel daunted by the prospect of it being housed on Canvas. We promise that if you have any little hiccups or learning curve related to that, we're going to be here to help. So no worries at all. So we actually, if you're familiar with Canvas, you know that everything is kind of built out as a course, and you either interact with the platform as a teacher or as a student. So in the case of all of our lovely teachers here today and the teachers that will be part of our Choice program, you will actually have two courses, so to speak, but really what you'll have is the overarching Choice professional learning community, where you'll be able to interact with and engage with anyone that is a member of Choice, any teacher on any part of the state, and of course, any instructional coach and all of our project staff and all of that. And then you'll have your individual communities of practice with the 30 teachers and 2 coaches that Alicia was telling you about. And a lot of what you're going to do is going to be housed within that community of practice. So if you were to go to your community of practice landing page, within the dashboard, you're going to see the different options that are available to you. So one of the big things is for virtual events like this, or a community of practice meeting, or things related to online video recordings or slideshows, those are all going to be in the file section of your community of practice. It's going to be a one-stop shop. You're going to be able to find it. It's going to be easily accessible. There is a schedule or a timeline, so to speak, that was included when the email came out to you. There's a teacher contract that we're going to talk about later, but on that there was a schedule, and there's a teacher manual that breaks that down even more. Well, we've actually built that out in the modules within Canvas and sequentially put in place everything that you would need to do, such as doing your orientation. Hey, you're doing that today, so that's in there. Doing some dashboard training, which that question came up in our breakout room, so I'm going to just address it really quickly. The training you're doing today is orientation training. There is dashboard training, which is just a brief, here's the dashboard, here's where to find it, here's how to do it, here's the schedule, timelines, how all this works. And we're doing that as a video tutorial, so once we release it, you'll be able to watch it within your own schedule and not have to worry about jumping on a Saturday morning again to learn, the different corners and everything of the dashboard. So, but all of it's built in there. And then we have discussion forums that are there for you to engage and talk with your teachers in your community practice. There's also discussion forums in the overall professional learning community. There are forums we're going to talk about what funding is related and usable for professional learning, and there are some forms related to using that funding. That's all here in the dashboard. And then the big piece, right, the reason that we initiated having a dashboard in the first place. And so this is an example because these are not live options, and it takes just a second to load thanks to my lovely internet. All right, cool. So this is an example of what you would see when you come in to pick out your professional learning opportunities. And the really neat aspect, I think, in this is that you're going to be able to sort and filter it for all the different things that matter to you when it comes to professional learning. So you can choose the format. Do you want it to be virtual, in person, blended? You can look at dates and times, and you can look at cost. So let's say you have just $250 left to put towards professional learning at the end of the school year, so you can actually just go and sort through professional learning that would fit into that cost frame. You're going to be able to search by the professional standards, so you take an assessment and it says that you should be looking at instructional planning a little bit deeper. Well, you can go in and say, which of these opportunities focuses on instructional planning, and be able to sort it out that way. You can look at the providers, all of those pieces. I should mention while we're on this page that we as the Choice team and as the Choice program will not be providing, designing, or creating any form of professional learning. We have the orientation pieces and those kind of things, but all of the professional learning that you're going to encounter through Choice is going to be provided by providers that Virginia educators and Virginia school divisions are already familiar with. So think Code VA and VA SCD and William Mary Stern and VASCL. A lot, if not the majority, will be providers within Virginia, but we know that, for instance, Virginia is a member of the Southern Regional Education Board, and they do trainings. So those are things that we would incorporate into our dashboard as well. And you're going to learn as you go along that if you come across this amazing opportunity and it's not in the dashboard, you just have to let us know, and we can see if it fits with what we need to feature, and we'd be happy to put it in there, not just for you, but for any teacher that is interested. So you'll find if you look underneath the opportunities listing, there's going to be a form, and you'll be able to go here. You can see right now it says Teacher A, but you'll be able to find your name and say, hey, this is me, Sarah Beth. and I'm going to, this is the date I'm requesting it, and this is the status of my request, and this is my first request that I've made, or this is my third professional learning opportunity that I've done this year, and so on and so forth. And just all of that details will come to our team, and we will then register and pay for you for the professional learning. And Sandy's going to dive into that here in a second. I did want to mention, it was there in my head and it went away, that, yep, it's gone. If it comes back to me, I will pop in later, but I'm actually going to switch our screen back over here and get our slides back up and let Sandy tell you about how the funding works.
All right, so again, you will have an allowance of $1,000 per year, and that money will cover the professional learning opportunities you choose, plus travel and materials if those are needed. We will pay as much as possible directly to each of these different things. We will definitely pay the provider for the professional learning opportunity. If your training is in person, then, and you require overnight accommodations, then we would pay for the hotel room. You would be reimbursed for your mileage and your meals, and you would complete an expense report in order to get that money back. But keep in mind that as you were thinking about these and planning these, that that money will be covered, but it does come out of your $1,000. However, if you decide you want to pay your own travel, that's totally up to you because you want to do more professional learning opportunities. That's totally your call. But you have $1,000 to use between now and the end of June to cover any professional learning opportunities that you choose, and materials and travel if necessary. There are no maximum or minimum number of professional learning opportunities that you have to participate in, as long as it's within your $1,000. So somebody might choose 10 different ones that are $100 each, and some might choose 2 that total $1,000 between the 2. It's totally your call, what fits best for you and what opportunities you decide you want to participate in. But again, you do have to get approval from us before they're actually registered and paid for. So. And then the choices that you make should be based on the content that you teach and or aligned with the 8 standards of professional practice. These will be guided by your self-assessment and your professional learning goal. And as Amanda mentioned, the platform will have, for the most part, Virginia organizations or opportunities that Virginia organizations and schools go to. But if you think there's one outside of Virginia that you would like to participate in, and you give us justification to do so, we will review that, and that could be an option. And also, as Amanda said, if there's a professional learning opportunity that you are aware of that you think other teachers would benefit from, or that you would like to participate in that's not in the platform, you will have a form that you can complete, and we will take a look at it, and we could very possibly add that to our platform. And keep in mind, you again are in a pilot, so the platform will be built out throughout the year, and we will be adding more and more each year. We are hoping that you all will share lots of different ones that you think would be good, and we can add those so that when we get into cohort 1, we have a vast array of opportunities for the cohort 1 to participate in. So, and if you have any questions about that, just let us know. We'll be happy to answer that.
Okay, so we're going to switch gears and talk a little bit about administrators. All of you know, of course, that teachers will be participating in a community of practice, but administrators will also have the opportunity to participate in a community of practice. This will provide them with an opportunity to enhance their professional learning and gain strategies to best support the teachers who are participating in the project. Now, we know how critical it is to have administrative support, so we will really be emphasizing and stressing to administrators that, we want them to be flexible, because this project basically is about teacher empowerment. And so we really want to emphasize as much flexibility with the administrators for you all as possible. Okay, now moving along to cohorts. We will begin the project with cohort 0, which is what all of you will be in. This will be our pilot cohort. We will be selecting up to 100 teachers for this cohort. Teachers can opt in individually, of course, with the permission of their administrators. Now, the pilot is significant because it's going to give us the opportunity to see what's working, what's not working, what can be improved upon as we build out all the parts and resources for the project as we prepare for cohort 1. Now, cohort 1 is important because this is where our evaluation will be completed. Now, remember that this is a research project, so we will have an external evaluation component. Cohort 1 is a randomized controlled trial. Teachers will be placed in either a treatment group or a control group. This cohort will be comprised of approximately 1,600 teachers, 1,300 rural and 300 non-rural. For cohort 1, we're going to focus on school-based recruitment. So we're going to have districts opt in, followed by schools, and then teachers. In cohort 2, we're going to serve 500 teachers approximately, 400 rural and 100 non-rural. This is the cohort where we can serve schools and teachers who wanted to participate but were not served in cohort 1. So they'll be able to participate in this cohort. So that'll be exciting. So at this time, I'm going to turn it back over to Amanda so that you can hear more about the external evaluation for the project.
Thanks, Darla. So as you all know, this is a research project. And as such, one of the requirements is that we have an external evaluation completed. And we are working with ICF, who has worked with us previously on our ARMIN project that we have. And so when it comes to looking at what ICF is going to be evaluating and observing and then kind of your role in it, they are largely focused on our implementation and also the impact of the CHOICE project. So when it comes to implementation, they're looking to see if we are rolling it out the way that we said that we would, if we're serving the number of teachers that we intend to serve, if we are able to give teachers access to the things that we said that they would have access to in the time frame that we said that they would have access to it. And then looking at the end, they're going to be looking to see, did giving teachers the choice of their own professional learning have, positive impact on their students? Did it have a positive impact on the teachers themselves? What does it look like in the classroom? All of those pieces. But because they are looking at all of these moving parts, that means that we need your input, your feedback, your engagement with anything that ICF is requesting. And it's not a big lift from them, but they are going to be reaching out either through us or directly to you. And they are going to first want a signed consent form, just saying that you are participating in the project during the pilot year and that you're okay providing your feedback and information. They're going to do a teacher survey, and I believe that's going to roll out in January. And then later on in April-March timeframe, they're going to want to do some group interviews just to kind of get your feedback and see how things are going and what was positive and what can we do better, because this is a 5-year project, and especially in this pilot year, it gives us a chance to kind of work out the kinks, because as you all know, when you have a vision, you build it, and you didn't have things in mind that you were going to encounter, like a pandemic maybe, along the way, and so you have to adapt, and we want to know that we are adapting well and meeting your needs, and if not, what we can do to change that going forward for you all and for future cohorts. And so they're also going to want to administer an online survey to students in one of your classrooms, and they're going to reach out with that information as well. And all of these things are reflected in the modules of the dashboard. And I say that because I know what it's like to have a dozen moving parts in my life and to need to keep track of everything, and trying to remember the things that are related to the CHOICE project should not be something that bogs you down or just weighs heavily on you. We want this to be something that's engaging and, as Darla said, empowering for you. And so we are tracking all of those pieces and putting them out there for you to just be like, oh yeah, done, and not have to say, what do I need to remember or what do I need to take care of? Don't worry about that. We're not here to add to your to-do list. We're here to be a support system. And so that's the awesome part of that.
All right, so now let's talk about the teacher agreement. This document was attached to the email that you received when you were welcome to CHOICE. And I'm sure you had a chance to look over it. It just kind of details the expectations of the project and what will happen over the next year. We have it broken down into quarters. So this first quarter is the busiest or the most interactive session, I would say, with our team. We have the orientation. You will do the dashboard training on your own, and you'll participate in the community practice. You'll have your instructional coach one-on-one meeting. You'll set your professional learning goal, and then you will begin to look for opportunities in the dashboard as far as your professional learning. After this first quarter, it will be more or less, you will be participating in your small group sessions, your community of practice, your coach office hours, and just continuing to look for opportunities to participate in professional learning and to implement those strategies and techniques that you learn during those sessions. Throughout the year, you will be participating in the external evaluation activities that we discussed earlier. And those will happen. You'll get surveys. You'll have some some small group meetings and things of that sort. But in addition to the external evaluation, we here, our team will also do some evaluation activities for our benefit. Again, you're in a pilot, so we want to tweak it, this choice program, and improve so that when cohort 1 begins, we have worked out some of the kinks thanks to you all. So we will be sending out surveys and asking for your feedback or any suggestions or recommendations, anything that you have to offer that you think would help with the rollout next year. So that will go on throughout the year. And so after this orientation, you will do the dashboard training next. But just keep in mind that if you have any reservations about participating in the project, let us know as soon as possible. Or if your teaching assignment changes and you're no longer teaching math, computer science, or CTE at the high school level, please let us know. We do have a limited number of spots here in in cohort 0, the pilot cohort. But otherwise, we will assume that you're committed to participating in the project, and during your dashboard training that you will be doing, you will find the agreement that you will sign electronically, and then we will put that on file for you. So, and we do have some more spots available. So if you know someone who teaches one of these subject areas who may be interested, please send us their name or send the information to them. You will get an email after our meeting today that with a little blurb that you can forward out as well to people that may be interested. They do not have to be in your division anywhere in the state of Virginia. Of course, we are focused on rural, but we will take non-rural. So we would love for you to just spread the word and help us fill the remaining spots.
All right, so just to kind of give you some ideas of what the next steps are, Sandy mentioned a couple of those. I do want to address one question that has already been asked, and that was about whether or not your administrators know that you have been selected to be part of Choice. So the answer to that is your administrators, if they have not already gotten a communication that lets them know that you are in this project, they will be getting that next week. We've been sending those emails out to administrators kind of periodically. And so depending on when you joined, it will be whether or not your administrator already knows. But what we're doing is basically sending information to your principals. Certainly your principals and your superintendents have been getting all kinds of information about Choice ever since it started, ever since we got the grant, and letting them know about everything that we're doing. But this email will give them a little bit more detail about what to expect, and we'll be asking for their support for your participation. And so far we haven't had any issues so far, but if we have any principals that have reservations or concerns, we will definitely address those as they come up. So that communication will go out very soon, and we'll be staying in very close contact with your principals and administrators as we go along through the process. Sandy did mention the dashboard training, and I know that Amanda also talked a little bit about it. We'll just mention one more time that that'll be one of the next things that you're asked to participate in, and it will not be live like this. As Amanda mentioned, it will be a video tutorial, and you'll just be given information about how to access it and be able to watch it. And we will do some office hours, so to speak, so that there will be some live opportunity for you to jump on if you need to ask questions. And if you don't, we'll just assume that you understood what you saw in the tutorial, and you're ready to move forward. You'll also be getting an email from your coach in the next few weeks. As Alicia mentioned earlier, we're in the process of pairing coaches with teachers. And so you'll get a communication so that you know who your coach is and what the next steps are for being in a community of practice with that coach and one other. So those are kind of the next steps. And we want to open it up for you to be able to ask any questions that you have. And Amanda, I just remembered one other thing to remind them of, and this might be what you were about to say. You will also, after this meeting, as Sandy mentioned, you'll get an email that tells you about some of the next steps, and we'll also give you a blurb that you could put into an email and share with any of your colleagues that you think may be interested in filling remaining slots. And you'll also be getting a communication asking you to complete a survey. And the survey is to give us information that will be used to get you set up in the dashboard, and also information that we will need whenever we register you for a professional learning opportunity. So that survey will be coming to you shortly.
And Jennifer, will that survey have a place to update if their principal has changed? I see we have a comment in the chat that someone's principal's retired. Will that that survey allow them to update that?
I can't remember if that's in there. I think it is, isn't it, Amanda?
We asked them their current principal and superintendent's name, just in case they changed over the summer.
Yeah. And we've been trying to reach out to schools to confirm principals as we have been adding them to our list as well. But we will compare and make sure that information has gone out to the correct person. All right, so we are ready to answer any questions that you have. And before we do that, there's just one thing that I would like to say, and I said this yesterday or the day before, whenever we did our last orientation session. The days kind of run together for me. But I can imagine if I were in your place and teaching during a pandemic and dealing with all of the things that you all have going on professionally, as well as anything you may have going on personally, I would be feeling very overwhelmed right now if I were you. And I would be a little bit concerned about all of the things that have kind of been thrown at me today, and all of the information and the details. And I might be wondering, do I really want to do this? Is this really worth the effort? And what I'd like to say to you all is, please keep in mind that everything that we have set up has been set up with you all in mind. All of us are educators. All of us have been in the classroom. We know that time is tough. We know that that is one of the biggest hurdles for all of you. And we are going to work with you. We are going to be flexible. We are going to understand. And so please stick with us. We hope that none of you will have heard all of this and then, reach out to us later, dropping out and saying, I just can't do this. This is too much. Because what we'd like to say in advance of that is we are going to work with you. This is meant to not be a burden. It's meant to be of support to you and to help you professionally. And we really mean that when we say that. So please, we hope that you trust that we have your best interest in mind, and we hope that you'll stick with us for the long haul. And we do invite you to reach out to us with any concerns or questions or anything that you may have, as we go along, either today or even a year from now. So what questions do you all have for us?
Yeah, there's one in the Padlet we haven't addressed yet. Asking about, are we looking to update professional learning goals weekly, monthly? How are those going to be, or when are those going to be updated?
So our thinking with that is it's going to be really up to you. So we're thinking that you will set a professional learning goal for the year, and that the professional learning opportunities that you choose will be tied to that goal. But if we find that you're moving along and you want to update that during the year, that's going to be up to you. But our thinking right now is that you would have, one professional learning goal each year of the project. And one thing I think we may not have mentioned earlier that I want to throw out is that all of you that are part of this pilot, you will have the opportunity to move into cohort 1 if you so choose. So I think that's one of the best reasons to be part of the pilot, is because you'll have the opportunity to really get 3 years of professional learning opportunities, money, and support if you so choose. So it's not a requirement that you move forward with us, but it's certainly an opportunity. And we'll also be looking for instructional coaches from this pilot. And so those of you that are part of this pilot, if after this year you're interested in being an instructional coach, we will be hiring about 100 coaches before cohort 1 starts next summer. And we'll be looking to this pilot group, to find those instructional coaches primarily. So that'll be another opportunity that you'll have if you're interested.
All right, morning, everyone. I do have a question, and it may be in some of the things you've already sent us, but how will VDOE get the certification points for the PD that we'll be taking?
So that's a great question, Deborah. Certainly that VDOE is our partner in this and are very supportive of our efforts. But in Virginia, points and credit for getting relicensed is a division level thing. So even though you'll be getting the training through this project, and we will be helping you keep track of the proof of attendance of these various opportunities, and we'll also be keeping track of your attendance in sessions like this and through your communities of practice and things like that. It's our intention to share that information with your administrators, and they will be able to use that to then award the appropriate points. So it'll still be your school division sharing that information with VDOE, but we will be helping you all along the way to give you the information and keep it organized so that when you need it, you'll have it to be able to share with your administration.
How many points are there?
So that's another thing that is a local decision. And so as you all probably know, in Virginia, there's a manual that kind of describes the different opportunities for getting recertified as a teacher, and there are different options. And as far as we know, the option that you would have for things like this activity today, this orientation, it's based on the number of hours. And so we will be giving your principals information about your attendance at these various different meetings, your communities of practice, your time with your coaches, and it'll be up to your school administrator to determine how many points you get awarded. But generally, it's per hour. So like today, you've been in this for a couple of hours, and we would let your administrator know that teachers did 2 hours worth of orientation, for example, and that would give you a point per hour.
My question is like, so this in a whole doesn't have like 20 CEUs or 45, it just depends on each hour? Because I'm asking this is because this summer I did a teacher academy with JMU, and it was 4 days and it was worth 20 credits, 20 CEUs. So this seems like it's a lot more, but you're just saying it's worth, like, every time we meet, it's just 1 or 2 CEUs.
So
you have to remember. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jennifer.
no, I was just going to say, remember that you're going to have a variety of opportunities. So the other credits or points that you earn will come from the type of professional learning opportunities that you choose in the dashboard. So really the number of points or the number of credits, so to speak, that you earn really is going to depend on what you choose. Certainly, again, you'll get points, or you'll have record of the attendance that you have with the things that you do with us and your coach. but you'll also have a proof of attendance of whatever professional earning opportunity that you choose in the dashboard.
Okay.
So if you
all right.
so if you had gone through the dashboard to get to that that workshop that you did with JMU, we would take that proof and we put it back, into your file with us, and you would have that in addition to any other points and things like that that you would earn for spending time with us. I hope that makes sense.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Well, hearing no other questions or concerns, I want to let you all go because I know everyone is probably excited to get their Saturday moving along, and so are we. So we're going to let you go now. We thank you so much for being with us today. And as always, please reach out to us if you have other thoughts, questions that pop up after today, and we'll be glad to address those with you. So take care. Have a great Saturday, rest of your weekend, and we'll be in touch.